We will begin in a seated position this evening. So any comfortable sit will do, lengthening through your spine, allowing your arms, hands, shoulders to relax. Turning your attention inward for a moment. I do tend to like to take a deep inhale and let it all go. So if that feels good for you, fine. If not, equally fine. Whatever you need to do to clear out the day from your mind and your body so that you can just give yourself over to the practice. Beginning to focus on your breath, watching your breath as you draw it in through the nose, out through the nose, finding that rhythm for yourself. As you breathe in, trying to draw in focus. And as you exhale, letting go of any external thoughts, distractions. And tuning into your body here, noticing how your joints feel, noticing how your muscles feel, noticing areas where you might be holding tension. Commonly, people hold tension in their hips, their low back, their shoulders, their neck, their jaw, and their face. Not to say the same people hold tension in all of those areas, but those tend to be the areas that we as humans will often absorb stress. So see where you are holding your tension and see if you can let that area go. Some areas like the jaw are surprising. You don't always realize that you're clenching until you bring your attention to your jaw and you realize that you can let it go. And listening to your body. Today is a different day from yesterday, from last week, from a year ago. So listen to what you can do tonight. I was just saying I've just had my second COVID vaccine, so we'll see. I might have to listen to my body and not do as much. It's absolutely fine. You do what you need to do. Let's just begin gently rolling our head, releasing your head down, and just bringing your head side to side, ear to shoulder, and ear to shoulder. If you'd like to go all the way around in a circle, that's fine, but remember, you never want to crunch your neck all the way backwards. So it's just a little bit of a tilt of your face up as you go around. But if that doesn't work for you, then just do side to side. That's perfectly fine. Do that half moon. Noticing where you might be holding that neck tension if you've been in front of a computer all day and seeing if you can let it go. And eventually working your way back to center, to neutral. Pausing for a moment, feeling that in your body. And then turning your head side to side, as if to say no, looking over one shoulder and over the other. Your eyes can still be closed. When I say looking, I just mean turning your head and face in that direction. And again, working your way back to center, pausing there for a moment, feeling that in your body. Inhale, extending the arms up overhead, pressing the palms together. Exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. And namaste. Welcome to your practice today. Well, hello, Amy and Tara. Good to see you. Okay, bring your hands to your shoulders while we sit here, and let's just make some arm circles one direction. We're going to do a bunch of sun salutation based moves today, so we want to make sure those shoulders are limber. And going the other direction. And then just bring those hands behind the body, pressing into the mat, tilting the gaze up, pulling the shoulders back, opening the chest towards the sky. Deep inhale, expanding the chest. Exhale to release, but still sitting up nice and tall. Extending the legs out in front of you. Toes to the ceiling, knees to the ceiling. So I have blocks here, I forgot to mention in the beginning, but it's always a good idea to have blocks. So those of you who are less flexible, as we hinge forward in this, you may want to grab a block. Even if you're very flexible, you might want to block. It's a great place to bring your forearms to. So as you hinge forward and you keep that chest lifted, spine long, you can start to feel that inner thigh stretch. So just right here might be enough for some people. You can always lower that block down as you have more flexibility, but notice I'm not rounding over and dropping my head towards the mat. We really want to think about lengthening that spine, hinging from the hips as if your chest is trying to melt down towards the floor. Taking some nice long deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Notice what your toes do. My feet will always tend to pronate inward, so bring them to the ceiling, knees to the ceiling. Some people will go outward. And bringing yourself up, bringing that block beside your leg. If you're using the block, you do not need it. The arm can go on the block, the floor, your leg, or on the inside across your body. We just want to get this arm out of the way on the side that we're going down to. Lifting the opposite arm up and over for our lateral bend. So the focus here is bending the spine sideways, right? Thinking of your spine that's straight up and down. You want to bend it to the side like a tree, a sapling that's bent over in the wind. That's the most important. Some of you might reach your toes, some of you are nowhere near there. You can turn your gaze and look up towards the ceiling. But that's why I say this arm in front of you, just have it where it's comfortable, that it helps facilitate this bend. Either position is fine. Lifting up and over, let's go to the other side so that arm could come to the floor, to the block, wherever works for you. Taking a couple of deep breaths. Super important, even days you don't practice with me or practice at all, really try to move your spine all directions. It doesn't take long, just a few stretches each direction. And pressing up, let's go ahead and I'm bringing my right foot across the body, coming into the inner left thigh. The left leg is out to the side. I'm going to turn towards that leg and then walk out, again angling the chest down towards the mat. And you can here release the head to the floor. You can take your opposite hand and grab your ankle, your foot, your heel, wherever you can grab hold, whatever feels good. You can equally just hold on to both sides of your shin, your ankle, your foot, wherever you're reaching. Trying to keep this opposite knee down, so hopefully you're feeling a bit of a stretch in that hip, as well as in your back, as well as in this extended leg hamstring. And bringing yourself up, bringing the leg that's bent, bring that hand behind your body. So if you're in right leg, it's the right hand behind. Pushing into that hand, pushing into the opposite heel, and then stretching the free arm up overhead. Take a deep inhale, stretching from fingertip to toe tip. It's like a half wild thing. And then go ahead and lower that down. And then we'll go straight to the other side, bring the opposite leg across. Taking a moment, sitting up tall, and then pivoting, angling out over that leg, walking yourself out. Same thing, if it feels good to reach across the leg, you can do so. You do not have to. Keeping that bent knee down towards the mat, hopefully feeling a stretch in that hip. If you're reaching across, you might feel it in your side body. Take some deep breaths. Don't push too hard. If you're in air conditioning, if you've been sitting all day, if you haven't done any movement yet, you don't ever want to overstretch and overpush. Just let the weight of your body kind of melt into this. A few breaths here. And bringing yourself up. On that note, it's never a terrible idea to just do some movement before practice. Bring that opposite hand again behind the body, pushing into the heel. So if you do cardio, I'm not saying anything crazy intense, but just to walk for a few minutes, to bike for a few minutes, get on a treadmill, just to kind of, if you've been sitting all day long and you haven't moved, getting up and doing a bit of movement to get the body kind of work the kinks out is really nice to do before yoga practice. Okay, coming over onto hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, belly button in, finding that neutral spine first. So our nose is pointing down towards our thumbs, and we're going to begin warming up the spine here with our inhale and exhale for cow cat. So inhaling as you dip the pelvis towards the floor, open the chest and shoulders. Exhale as you arch up into cat. Moving at your own pace. We always think of the spine as this long column. I like to think of it kind of like a snake. Each one is connected, but they move independently. So one moves at a time, and then triggering the next one to move, the next one to move. So you move tailbone to the crown of your head in one direction, and then tailbone to the crown of your head in the other direction. One last movement all the way through. And when you next get into cat, really push into the hands, drop the head down, arch up nice and high, and then curl the toes under, push yourself up to our first downward facing dog, jogging through those feet, bending one knee, bending the other knee, stretching the opposite heel towards the mat. And eventually pressing both heels towards the mat. So palms are pressing into the mat, elbows are not locked. We're rolling our shoulders out away from your ears. Just let your head relax. Make sure you can shake it yes and no. And instead of pressing into your shoulders and trying to press your chest into your legs, just let your torso be more or less relaxed. Think about lengthening it, and think about bringing your sit bones up to the sky. So you should be feeling your upper back working. You should not be feeling a lot of shoulder mobility. You should be feeling a stretch in the hamstrings. And take a deep breath. And let's extend the right leg straight up, right heel towards the sky. Swing that right leg forward, hovering over the hands for a moment. Can you hover and hold that leg there? One more time, swing it up to the sky. And then this time, place that hand down into a low lunge. So in your low lunge, bring knee over ankle. Hands finding the floor if you can keep a nice long spine. If you're really bent and rounded over, that front knee isn't so bent, that's when you're going to want to bring blocks down to support yourself with your long spine here. Really think about lengthening the spine. It's a runner's lunge. Could you push off into a run here? You want to have that power in that back foot. So just notice how that feels, and elevating on blocks might help. Push through that left heel, really lengthening through the hamstring. And then release that knee down onto the floor. Bring the hands behind the right knee, hinging forward, lifting up through the chest, rolling the shoulders down and back, opening the gaze towards the ceiling. Option to extend the arms up in your deep crescent lunge. And then bringing hands down to the mat, stepping the right foot back, finding our first plank. I feel a few planks in our future today. So always in planks, you want a long line from your head to your toes. You can also drop to knees to modify, and then you're going to be at an angle. If this is bothering your wrist, but you don't want to come down to forearms, you can also do this from fists. That will help protect your wrists. And then if not, you can, like I said, come down to your forearms and do the modification that way. From here, we're going to work on some balance and some extra core control. So picking up your left hand, tap your right shoulder, put the left hand back. Tap and back. So you're not in constant movement, because I want you to pause, tap and back to find that control. And back one more time, and back. Good. Opposite side. I don't know why I said do this after I just had a shot in my left arm. Okay, right hand to left shoulder. Up and down. Up and down. Nice and controlled. Try not to shift the weight too much. Mine definitely shifts a bit, but you don't want to be leaning over. Last one. And down. Good. Drop down to knees, lowering all the way down as slowly as you can. Chest, chin, and hips all the way to the floor, elbows hugging the side. Release the legs long, elbows hug the rib cage. Press up into a cobra. Exhale to release down. 2 more times. Inhale, lifting up, trying to peel the abdomen off the mat. Exhale, lower down. Last time, up to cobra, and then come back to your downward facing dog. Heels driving towards the mat, releasing the head. Again, always feeling free to jog through, bending your knees if your hamstrings are still tight. Taking a few breaths here, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. And then left leg lifts up, pushing the left heel towards the ceiling. Hinging forward, hovering out over the hands. Holding here. Kicking back up towards the ceiling in our three-legged dog. And then bringing that leg forward into your lunge on this side. So once again, hands find the floor or find a mat, pushing through that back right heel. Really lengthening the hamstring, always checking knees over ankle. It's an easy fix if your foot's way back here. You just gotta sometimes pick it up and move it forward. Release that knee down to the mat, rising up, hands behind the front knee. So you're driving forward to open up that right hip flexor, but you're still lifting and growing tall, tall, tall through here. Chest is opening. If you're stable and you want to, inhaling, extending those arms up overhead. Good, releasing the hands down to the mat. Once again, stepping back and finding plank. Our option here is going to involve the other limbs, our legs. So lifting up one leg. So it's just a couple inches. I like to, people kick up way high all the time. You're literally just lifting your toe off the mat. I don't want you to arch your back. Lower that foot down, lift the other one. So it's like centimeters, an inch at the most. Lower it down one more time on each side, left leg or whatever, opposite leg lifts up. Lower it down, opposite leg lifts up. Lower down, option to stay on your toes or drop to knees. Once again, lowering down as slowly as you can. Elbows hug the rib cage, chest, chin, and hips all the way into the mat. Inhale, slide out into Sphinx for a moment. Chest lifting, palms in the mat, shoulders pulling away. I really like Sphinx if you don't have tons of back flexibility because you're supported here and you can really work on gaining that curve, that extension in the low back. Really extend the legs long, contract the gluteal muscles to protect your back. Breathe in, trying to relax into the pose. And then releasing down, sliding the hands back under the shoulders, up into cobra, elbows hug the rib cage, shoulders pull down and away, and then push up and back, downward facing dog. Make sure you can nod your head yes. Make sure you can shake your head no. Walking your feet forward, coming to the top of the mat, hanging over. Letting the head go, letting the back go, maybe a bounce, a sway, a twist, whatever feels good for you. Bending the knees, let the hips drop, and really slowly roll up. So your head is hanging, your arms are hanging, you're restacking. Lengthening the legs, lengthening the spine. Coming all the way up to the top of the mat. Keep going, raising the arms up overhead. Keep going, rising up onto tiptoes until you can't lift anymore. You're up as much as gravity will allow. Lowering down, heels to the mat, hands to heart center. Taking your place up at the top of your mat. Spine long, so feet hips distance or more narrow. Long spine, chest open, shoulders back, chin in neutral, so not up towards the ceiling, not down here, parallel to the floor, but pulled back towards your body so you're not sticking it forward like a lot of us do when we're driving or at our computers. Once again, reconnecting with the breath, inhaling and exhaling. Next time you inhale, extending up. Exhale, hinge forward, long spine to release all the way down. Inhale, flat back, lifting halfway up. Exhale, release, hands to the mat. Right foot steps back. Hold this lunge for a twist, keeping your right hand in the mat, lifting the left arm up overhead, looking at that hand, pushing back to the right heel.
Next time you exhale, continue with the sun salutation, stepping the left foot back. Lowering down, option to go all the way to the mat, or those of you working at up dog, can you hover in your chaturanga for a moment? Hovering above the mat, elbows hug the rib cage, then flipping the feet, then pushing up into a super active upward facing dog. Otherwise, cobra is your option. And back into downward facing dog. Separating the feet, mat's distance apart. Keep the right hand in the mat as you reach the left hand back, trying to find the calf or the ankle of the right foot. Maybe you only come to the mat, maybe it grabs your thigh. If you can grab below the calf, that's fantastic. Turning and looking past your right armpit for your right down dog twist. Bring that hand back to the mat, walking the feet back together. Extend the right leg up overhead. Come across the body and hover. So right knee comes to left elbow, hover, and then kick back up. This time right leg comes all the way across to our fallen triangle. So the right leg comes out to the left. We pivot around onto our right hand, extending the left leg up in the air. So you're on the left foot, right hand. And if you want, you can lift up the right leg. Fall in or falling triangle, depending on what you're doing. Placing that right foot down, bring the left hand back to the mat. Kick the right leg up, three-legged down dog. Option to put the leg down or option to hold it up as you come out into a plank with that right leg still lifted. Holding plank. Belly button in, spine long. Option to put the foot down or option to lower into your chaturanga or all the way to the mat and then up into your up dog or cobra with both feet on the mat. Pressing back, downward facing dog, separating the feet, mat's distance apart. This time reaching the right hand back to the left ankle or calf or thigh or wherever you're reaching. Turning and looking past your left shoulder. And then placing that foot back on the mat, stepping the feet back together, extend the left leg overhead. Bring the left knee to the right elbow, twisting across the body and hold. And again, extend the left leg. This time bring it out to the right side, planting it down, pivoting over into your fallen triangle on this side. Left hand, right leg extends, right foot's on the mat, and then option to lift your left leg. Mine's a bit wonky because I have the wall in front of me. Placing the right hand down, kick straight up to three-legged down dog. Option to put that left foot down or leave it lifted as you flatten out into your plank, so you're in a three-legged plank. Option to put the foot down or lower down to the mat or chaturanga. And then placing both feet on the mat, coming up to cobra or up dog, pressing back, downward facing dog. This time stepping the right foot forward, low lunge on this side, keeping the left hand in the mat, turning to the right, extend the right arm up overhead, and then go ahead and place that right hand down. Step the left foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, rising all the way up. And exhale, bringing hands to heart center. Have a block handy for this next one. We're going to come into lizard, and a block can be really handy, or anything else to lift up. A book would be fine. When you're ready, inhale to extend up. Exhale to release forward. Inhale, flat back lift. Exhale to release down. Hands to the mat. Stepping the left foot back this time. Release the back knee onto the mat, rising up in your crescent lunge. Just one inhale to lift up. Exhale, hands find the mat. Step the right foot back. Immediately chaturanga to your cobra or up dog. And then back to your downward facing dog. This time extending the right leg overhead, bend that right knee, dropping into the left side, so we're opening up our hip here. Your right foot is dropping to the left, lift up the right knee, right hip is stacking on left, turning your head to the right. Bring the leg back to center, right knee comes to right elbow and hovers. hinging forward, holding, and kick back up. This time place that foot down on the outer edge of the mat, so your hands are on the inside of that right foot. Option to grab your block. So you want to have right knee over right ankle. Your option's also to drop that back leg on the mat. You want to come to forearms. So if your forearms don't find the mat, that's where you want to use a block. I'm just not using it because then you can't see my foot, but what it would look like is maybe up here, on the middle level, on the lower level, or on the mat. Once you've found that, again, knee is still over ankle, shoulders pushing against the inner thigh, opening that inner thigh, and then if you wanted to, you can come up on the back foot, or your lizard pose. So this is working our hamstrings, our hips, our inner thighs. Inhaling and exhaling. Couple more breaths. Coming up to the hands, walk the foot to the middle of the mat so your hands are once again squaring off your foot. Kick that right leg all the way up, three-legged downward facing dog. Just like we did before, option to keep that leg lifted as you come out into plank. Option to lower down, chaturanga, and then flipping the feet as you come up to cobra or up dog, pressing back, downward facing dog. Extend the left leg overhead, bend that left knee, dropping your foot to the right side, stacking left hip on top of right, lifting through that left knee to stack the hips, open up the pelvis. Bring the leg back to center. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward, knee comes to elbow and you hover. Extend that leg back up. This time the foot plants down, outer edge of the mat, grabbing that block, bringing the forearms to the block or to the mat. Once again, knee over ankle. Option to keep the back leg lifted or release it to the mat. Keeping the foot on the mat. We don't want the foot to roll onto the pinky side, right? Keep your foot planted here. Your leg is connected to your hip there. And then in between, you can get some stretch. Take some deep breaths. Rising up, walk that foot to the middle of the mat, squaring off the foot. Kick all the way up, three-legged downward facing dog. Hinge forward, three-legged plank. Lower down, three-legged chaturanga, and then placing the feet on the mat for your cobra or up dog. Pressing back, down dog. And left leg lift, swings forward, plants down, release the right knee onto the mat. One crescent lunge on the inhale. Exhale, hands find the mat, step the right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, rise all the way up. And back to one, hands at heart center. From here, coming into chair, Utkatasana, sinking down, pushing those hips back, lifting up through the chest. So arms do not need to be extended. You can work here with your hands at heart center. What I want you to think about is that the knees are over the ankles. As soon as you come forward, you're going to hurt your knees and your glutes get a break. Push the butt back, push the knees back, then lift up through the chest, bringing the hands to heart center. And only then, if you feel like you want to, extend the arms, coming to chair. I think this is the same as thunderbolt pose, which is appropriate. I mean, you do look like a thunderbolt here, right? All right, so I'm going to have you balance on your left foot. So just lift your right foot up, hovering. We're going to transition to a high lunge. So the right foot steps back, deep bend in the front knee, arms stay extended. If you wobble, that's fine. Lifting up through the chest, deep bend in the front knee while you're pushing through that back leg, lengthening the spine, or the hamstring rather, also lengthening the spine. Transitioning this to warrior, so you're simply planting that back foot. Chest is still forward, hips are still forward. Really working to pull that back hip forward even while that foot is planted. Bring the hands behind the back, pull the hands down to open up the chest towards the sky, and then folding over into a humble warrior. Head bounce down, shoulders stretch as the arms reach up overhead. And then swoop all the way back up to your warrior one. Transitioning warrior two. So the front knee is nicely deeply bent. The back foot's still at an angle, but now the hips are open to the long edge of your mat. Gazing out over the front hand. Inhaling and exhaling. Reversing this, right hand flips behind the back, left palm flips up, bringing the gaze up, breathing into the left side body. Can you deepen that bend even more in the front knee? Back to your warrior two, and then pivoting forward, transitioning immediately into warrior three. So left foot's on the mat, right leg extends behind. Arms extend, but if that's too much, you can grab hold of something like the wall. Hands can come to heart center or along beside the body. Don't move quite so much. Kind of hard to keep your balance. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, back to chair, Utkatasana. Did you find it? Same thing other side, shift the weight to the right, lifting up the left foot, step that foot back, high lunge. Deep bend in the right knee, lifting up through the chest, pushing through the back heel. Inhale, exhale. Transitioning to warrior one, so simply planting that back foot. Keep chest, hips, and shoulders facing forward. Shoulders away from the ears. Bring the hands behind the back, pulling the hands down to open the chest and shoulders, gaze towards the ceiling. And then bowing forward for your humble warrior. Swooping the arms down and back up, rising up to warrior one. Opening this up, warrior two. I'm just scooching to the back edge of my mat, so I'm not off frame when I go into my warrior three. So deep bend in the knee, back foot's planted at an angle. Right heel hits about the arch of the back foot. Okay, that's our alignment on this. Hips, chest, and shoulders towards the long end of the mat. Gaze out over the front. Left hand behind the back, right palm flips up, reversing this. Keep that nice deep bend in the front knee. Coming up immediately in to warrior three. Pushing that left heel back and away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to chair with our hands at heart center. Sitting up nice and tall. Really push the hips back. Really push back to the knees. Try to bend your knees as much as possible, and then try to lift the chest. Belly's in, spine is long. The reason I want you to really bend down is we're going to do our twist. And people love to bind, but you really can't bind effectively unless you're really deeply bent in your knees. I'm going to twist towards you first. So we're bending, I'm turning towards you. Elbow can come to the thigh, or elbow can slide down. Hands stay at heart center. Try not to let them come up to the armpit. Lift the chest so the hands are at heart center. You're lifting your gaze towards the ceiling. And then notice what your knees are doing. Has your one knee shifted forward? See if you can pull them together so that you're nice and square. Inhale, exhale. Good, come back to center, chest lifting. Sink a bit lower, we usually lose the bend of the knees. And turning to the other side, elbow to the thigh, or it slides down. Keep sitting down in the hips. Bring the hands to heart center, turn the gaze towards the ceiling, and then try to even out the knees if they've shifted. And coming back to center, extending the arms once again. Hopefully you're feeling this. Option to lift up onto the balls of your feet. Can you sink a little bit lower? Can you rise all the way up to standing still in the balls of your feet? And then exhale, bringing hands to heart center. Inhale, extending up, opening the chest up. Exhale, fold all the way down and hang down there. Let the head go. Let the back go. Bring your hands underneath your feet, your toes to your wrists, your fingers in the middle of your knees, middle of your feet rather. Bending your knees as much as you need to, and then straightening your legs as much as you can. If your legs are straight, you're gently pulling against your feet, bringing the crown of your head more down. If your knees are bent, you're pushing against your feet, trying to straighten those legs. Bending the knees, release this, bringing hands to the mat, hopping back to plank, holding plank position. Lifting the right leg up, we're going to bend the knee in towards the left elbow and back. And again, notice my body is not moving. I'm not arching up. I'm bringing the knee across and back. For 3 and 2. Last one, place the right foot down, lift the left leg up, bend the knee, bring it across towards the elbow. It might touch, with mine it does not. Bring it across and hover. Back and spine don't move. 3, 2, 1, bringing it back, lowering all the way down, chaturanga or to the mat. Inhale up to cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog, heels into the mat, releasing the head. Walking the hands back towards the feet. So this time you're going to end up at the back of the mat with your head hanging over. Bending the knees, dropping the hips, and rolling yourself up. 1 vertebra at a time. Coming to standing. Wow, I'm sweating. Tara must be having internet issues. We've lost her. Bringing hands to heart center. Standing up nice and tall. All right, those of you, if you have any knee issues, be careful with this. But there's no reason for this to hurt your knee. You just need to work on your control. So we are going to shift our weight to our left. We're going to lift the right leg up. Try not to lean back into that. See if you can stay vertical, spine long, right leg is lifted. Holding here, inhaling, exhaling. Finding a point to focus on in front of you, using that to maintain your balance. We're going to step into a high lunge from here. So the right foot's going to step forward, finding lunge, still nice and lifted. Did you manage? Go ahead and get here. And then again, once you're stable, you can bring those arms up overhead. We're going to transition to warrior 1. So just simply pivoting that back foot, planting it down, opening up, keeping your gaze on your drishti point in front of you. Transitioning to warrior 2. I always separate my legs a little bit more to get a bit deeper in my warrior 2. Inhaling and exhaling. And then simply straightening the right leg and come into triangle. So now I always have to move my feet a little closer together. We're going to hinge forward, reaching, reaching, reaching. Start bringing that gaze towards the ceiling. Let that right arm drop and hang. Let the left arm come up overhead. Try to create this long line here. What I often see is people bending and arching into that. This is not a lateral bend of our spine. Your spine should stay in the same long line it was when you were up. This arm should be free, no weight on it. Extend that right arm under your right ear. Option to bring that left arm overhead. Really using your abs here. And then lift all the way up. Transition this immediately to reverse warrior. The left arm sweeps behind the back. Right arm comes up. And then cartwheel that left hand all the way down to the mat, coming to plank, once again holding plank. Running out of ideas for planks. Oh, we haven't done side plank yet. How did I not do side plank? Okay, so bringing the right hand to the middle of the mat, option to drop down to knee or to forearm for this. Transitioning to our right side plank. And your challenge option tonight is going to be straight leg lift and tap. So the leg lifts up, tries to find the hand and tap. And 3, and 2, last one, pivoting right back to our plank, right over to our other side plank. Again, pick your modification, and if you want the most challenging, we're lifting up and tap. Hand finds whatever part of your leg is there for 3, for 2, last one, coming back to our plank, lowering down, chaturanga, or all the way to the mat, up to cobra, up dog, back to down dog, let the head go, and then walk the hands back towards the feet and allow your body to hang over. Bending the knees, drop the hips, rolling yourself up, and back to the top. All right, sorry, just scooching my mat out from the wall. Hands at heart center. Find your focus. My mat is crooked. That drives me crazy. Shift your weight to your right foot, lifting up the left leg. Again, notice if you hinged backwards. See if you can correct that. Balancing here. Inhale, exhale. Focusing on that point in front of you. I know you're working standing on one foot, but see if you can use the moments of stillness to slow the breath, find that control again. Same thing as before, we're going to step into our high lunge. So with control, step that left foot forward, high lunge. And then when you're ready, extend the arms. Deep bend in the front knee, chest is lifted. Transition to warrior one, so that right foot plants. Hips stay forward. Transition to warrior two, torso and hips rotate. Gaze stays forward on that drishti point. Extend the front leg, transitioning to triangle, hinging forward. So here's this long spine that I'm talking about. When you can't hinge anymore, that's when the arm goes up, the arm goes down, and you're in your perfect alignment for triangle. Belly button in. Imagine I come and I just boop, push here in those top ribs to bring that spine in. Bringing that left arm under the left ear, right arm over the right ear, and rising up. Reverse the warrior, right hand behind the back. Left arm lifts up. And then cartwheel this all the way down to the mat to your final plank of the night. We're going to bend the knees to the mat and lift back up. Bend them down and lift. Lower and lift. And pause here. We're going to come down to forearms and do the same thing. Bend the knees down and back up. Squeeze in the glutes as you come up. 3 and 2. The last one. Pressing back up to your hand plank. Last 20 seconds. Belly button's in, gluteals contracted, looking at your thumbs. 10 more seconds. We're going to lower this all the way down into a slow lower starting now. Coming to chaturanga and hovering. Flipping the feet, pressing up to your cobra or your up dog. Pressing back to down dog. Heels into the mat. Nod the head, yes. Shake the head no. 2 lion's breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, open the mouth, stick out the tongue, and again, inhale. And then drop down to your knees and sit back on your heels in child's pose. Rise up, flip your toes under, just transitioning to puppy. So reach the hands further out, balls of your feet on the mat, and now we're sitting back towards our heels. Arms are extended, head dropping towards the mat. And releasing that down, spinning the legs in front. Coming to a seated position. It's all the hard work done. Extending the legs in front. Inhale, lift up. Shoulders pull down. Grow tall here in your staff pose. And then hinge forward. Paschimottanasana. Releasing the head, releasing the back. Again, option to grab onto ankles, calves, feet, toes, whatever is accessible, whatever feels right. Go ahead and come up. Let's come to a seated half spinal twist. I'm just going to face you. So I'm going to bring right leg across left. I'm going to tuck left leg behind. You can also keep left leg extended. Sit up tall, right leg in front of you. We're going to twist towards this right leg. So the right hand goes behind the body, left arm hugs that right knee, or it comes all the way across, shoulder goes into it, into this twist. You can bring that arm up. You can reach down for the ankle or the foot, but what's important here is to grow tall and twist, not leaning into that right hand. Not leaning back, not collapsing, long spine. So we've done some other twists, but this is a bit more of an accessible twist, so you should be able to twist a bit more deeply than you probably did in your chair pose or some of the other twists that we did. And then go ahead and release that. Option to come to cow face posture. So bringing that right foot back. Now you're going to stack your hips, stack your knees. So if right leg's on top, I'm going to bend my left elbow behind me. Option to either simply stretch our tricep here by gently pulling here without popping our shoulder out, or reaching the right hand around and clasping our hands for Gormukhasana. Holding for a few breaths. And then unravel, and do the other side. So left leg's going to go across, that leg can stay extended, or we tuck it behind. Left knee is in front, sitting nice and tall. Left hand behind the body. Right arm hugs that knee or comes all the way over. Again, you can just wave. Some people like to be here. You can bind. You can reach that hand behind and grasp the other hand if you want. I like to reach down for ankle or foot. What's important here is the twist of the spine, not where you have managed to bind your hands. And then coming back to center, bringing that right foot all the way back, stacking the knees, stacking the hips. This time right elbow bends, gently grabbing the forearm here, or bring the hand up. Even if you don't reach your hands, you can still reach towards them and get a stretch. You can also connect by putting a washcloth between your hands, a t-shirt, a yoga strap, anything to bridge the gap between the hands. You don't want to be all like bent over and like ruining your alignment just to grab your hands. That's not the point. Good, and releasing that, bringing the soles of your feet together, sitting up tall, letting the knees drop away, lifting up and hinging forward. And bringing yourself up, spinning those legs around once again. Holding onto the backs of your thighs, lowering yourself all the way down to the mat, and then hugging your knees into your chest, giving yourself a little rock from side to side. Bring the hands under the body, just sit on them and extend the legs up. Chin towards chest. You can also bend knees here if it's too much to have the legs extended. I just want to give you kind of a momentary inversion. You can come over all the way if you want to come into your plow. I'm not going to stop you. If you want to come into shoulder stand, that's fine. We're going to do about a minute. So see what works best for you to get those legs lifted. Here or here. Or if you have a block, you can put a block under you, put legs of a block. I've got mine right here, like so. Okay, so all those are options. Taking some nice deep breaths. We did a lot of work on our feet tonight, so this is just nice. Drain the blood from the feet, promote the circulation. Allow that heart rate to slow. Allow the breath to slow. Oh, my COVID sticker. There to come off. Just a few more breaths wherever you are. So for those of you who did shoulder stand, you're going to want to do fish, but we can all do fish. So go ahead and lower it down, bring the knees into the chest, bring the hands under the body, extend the fingertips towards the heels, so you're lying on top of the backs of your arms, or the tops of your arms, I should say, the backs of your arms on the mat. You can stay right here, or come up onto forearms, releasing the head back. And take maybe 3 breaths here in fish. And then releasing that, bring the knees into the body one last time. Give yourself one last hug. Transitioning to happy baby, holding onto feet, ankles, wherever, toes, rocking if you want. Try to get that low back on the mat. So a lot of times I see butts kind of lifted in the air. See if you can bring the bottom down to the mat. Bend the knees, flex the feet. Push against those inner thighs, and then as you massage side to side, you'll feel that actually rubbing against your low back will actually be massaged against the mat. And then extend those legs long, finding your final savasana. Legs extended, arms extended, palms face up. Chin towards chest, take a deep inhale. Open your mouth, let it go. One more time, inhale. Let it go. And release into your relaxation. Feel your arms and legs grow heavy in the mat. Feel the back of your head grow heavy into the mat. And once again, bring your attention to your breath. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose. Watching the breath as you draw it in. Watching the breath as you let it go.
Begin to breathe in more deeply again. Breathing all the way to fingers and toes. Recharging the muscles of your body. Breathing into your torso, recharging your organs. Breathing up into your head, recharging your mind. Begin to reawaken those muscles, wiggling fingers and toes, rolling wrists and ankles, rolling head side to side. And then eventually bringing yourself to a sit. It's your option if you roll to your side first. If you hug knees to chest and roll up. Finding yourself in the same seated position that we began the class. Spine long, but body relaxed. Just as we did at the start of class, bring your mind, your attention to your body. Notice those areas where before you felt tension, and just notice how that feels now, without any sense of how it should feel, or any sort of judgment. Just notice if there's a change for the better or for the worse. Notice the jaw and the forehead, the neck and the shoulders, the hips and the knees. Thank them for serving you today in your practice, and always forgive them for the times when maybe they caused you aches and pains or let you down. Take a deep inhale, extending the arms up overhead. Press the palms together. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Pause here, taking a moment to be grateful. Maybe even thinking about something for which you can express gratitude. I am grateful for. Fill in the blank. The light in me acknowledges and honors the light in you. Om Shanti Om. Namaste.